My child, I feel no pain greater than your heartache, no joy greater than your triumph, no agitation greater than your tumult, no despair greater than your desertion. There is no emotion compared to what you invoke, no experience that comes near parenting you, no journey I would rather take than by your side, no adventure I would rather choose than to watch you grow. You, my dear child, are my greatest teacher. Through you, I learn how to love without control, to take care without possession, and to raise myself before I raise you. In the face of your astounding radiance, I realize I am nothing, yet the fact that you exist suggests that I am everything, and expansive as your heart and as limitless as your potential. There is nothing I can give you, for you already house the sun within, iridescent and prismatic, inexhaustible and powerful, beyond measure. I may give you birth and hearth, but without a doubt, it is you who have given me life, and an awakening I could never have imagined on my own. And therefore, it is you who are my ultimate soul retriever. By Dr. Shafali. Welcome back to Unlocking Our Code podcast. Today we're diving into the spiritual journey of parenthood, what it means to become a parent through a spiritual lens, how this journey transforms us, and why parenthood is such a powerful part of our personal and collective evolution. Tonight, Lou is taking the night off. She is not with us today, but I do have a special guest, and her name is Juanita Valenzuela. She is a spiritual coach and mentor who helps women reprogram their minds and transform their lives through a spiritual perspective. She's also a parent circle facilitator, guiding parents through their own journey of evolution. Welcome, Juanita.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How do you feel?
I'm excited for this episode.
That's good. Me too. I love this topic. I feel like this topic just touches such a deep personal part of us, right? Mm-hmm. Because obviously you're a mom, I'm a mom, and we have both navigated certain similar things, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that the journey of parenting, it's a never-ending journey. Yep. So I just feel like definitely bringing awareness to these parts of parenthood is crucial. It's important. Like the awareness is beyond.
Yeah. I'm thankful for the awareness. I'm thankful I started when I was pregnant with my first daughter. Yeah. I don't know where I would be. I mean, I could only imagine.
Yeah.
Where I could be personally in my relationships if I didn't wake up, if I didn't do the work.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You're definitely very lucky, I could say, in that sense. I didn't have the awareness when I first became a mother. I was a teen mom. I had my first daughter at 17 and a half. So, and since then I've had 2 more children, and I didn't have my parenting awakening until 2020 is when it began, actually, awakening little by little. So it's amazing that you were able to begin it when you were pregnant. That's such a gift for your children, for yourself and for your children, right?
Yeah.
Now that we're going to touch on this subject, right, I feel that there is a lot of disconnection with the way society tells us we should be parenting. Mm-hmm. That's the way I felt through my whole journey, even till today in certain areas, right? I found out that in my own journey of motherhood, that this approach always left me feeling like something was not right in my parenting picture, and that it also left me very confused and disconnected from my own self and from my children. The way society was telling me and directing me to parent, right? I didn't understand this before I brought it into awareness, but imagine my children were maybe 10, no less, 8, 9 maybe, when I began understanding something's not feeling right. It was a feeling more than an understanding. It was a feeling I had, like, why do I feel disconnected from the people that I love the most? Why isn't there this authentic feeling, connection, and joy and happiness, right? How do you feel? Like, have you experienced that in your journey? Or what do you think is the reason why we feel like that?
That's like a loaded question. There's a loaded answer to that. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I definitely felt through the whole pregnancy process, like it went in that, like it started their pregnancy process. It's like I felt like I wasn't, me personally, my emotional, mental health wasn't really the priority when I was going to the doctor's appointments. I was just like the physical aspect of me as I'm growing a baby inside of me. That was the focus. And that really like kind of started for me opening up to like the society ways of how they help, quote unquote, like how they try to help us. It's really and now I understand more. They are physicians. They're focused on the physical body, right? And so it took me a while to like not be so angry at that. They don't like tell you, but that's pretty much it. That is their focus on the physical body. But while I was going through this, while I was going through my pregnancy, I was spiritually awakening. And so I was able to give that emotional and mental support to myself when I needed, but also I was part of like a group of other women who were doing the same thing, doing the same work. So I was able to have them support me, right? And I was lucky to be in that because not a lot of us have that support, that spiritual understanding. And so that kind of adds to like me going into the world pregnant, learning these things. And yeah, I felt once my baby was born, I felt like this society wasn't created for me to win. So I created my own society. And I think that's what really helped me like overcome a lot of the challenges that motherhood comes with. So yeah,
what a journey. What I hear you saying is that through pregnancy, you had care for the physical aspect, right? But there was almost like an inner knowing, right?
Yeah.
Of like, what about me? Yeah. What about me, like my internal world, my mental health, right? That's the disconnection that you began feeling as you were pregnant and you began going to the doctor. Great, the doctors are taking care of baby and my health and monitoring that part, but there's nothing supporting my well-being, my internal world, right? Yeah. And I feel like how amazing that you were, first of all, that you were able to do that. Not only that you were able to gain awareness, but that you went seeked for support and that you created the support that you needed. That's big for someone to accomplish. So congratulations on that, because that's amazing. I mean, it's not, I can imagine like that couldn't have been easy in any
and I didn't do it on my own. Like I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I had the support, and definitely having a circle of people, like not just like having me talk to them about my problems, but also hearing about their relative truth, like really helped me, especially when it came to the area of like parenting. I learned a lot through other people's suffering and how they overcame it. I learned a lot through that shared wisdom. Yeah.
And now that you experience that, how important is it if we have any mothers that are expecting a baby that are hearing this, how important is it to not only take care of obviously the physical aspect and all that, nutrition and all that, but to also take care of herself? How important is that part in not only in her journey, right, but how it also it's connected to the baby, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're thriving, then baby's also thriving emotionally and all that, right?
Yeah. What's coming up is it's like we understand something from a certain perspective, but as you relook at it, it's like the perspective changes. So I'm saying this to like prepare you. Like, I would recommend being quote unquote selfish, right? Maybe it's from an ego place, but that's just the level that you might be at. Once you're getting the groove of that, understanding, having self-care, like mental, physical, maintenance, it's inevitable to change. And when you change, your perspective changes. So now it's not just about, just me, taking care of me, doing me. Now it's just like, all right, taking care of me and my baby. And at least this is how it was for me. Now it's me and my baby. Okay, now, all right, I want things to work out more, especially parenting with my partner. So, okay, now it's me, my baby, and my partner. Like, it's always evolving. So if wherever on the spectrum that you're at, there's nothing wrong with where you're at, whether it's taking care of, just you, or whether it's you and your family, like wherever it's at, just start, because when you're okay, your baby's okay. And when your baby's okay, your partner's okay. And so when your partner's okay, the whole family's okay. So you can not afford not to take care of yourself because of the mental health, especially the mental health part of it, starts deteriorating, and it becomes, what they call perinatal mood disorders. Like, you start getting labels on it because you're starting to see, psychologists, therapists, because you haven't prioritized yourself. So it's like super important. And then like the money, like going into the medication, or if you're taking medication, going to the therapist, if your insurance isn't covered, like it's just, it goes on and on. So you cannot not afford to take care of yourself.
Yeah, so true. I feel, now that I hear you saying that, I get this feeling like the parenthood journey doesn't just begin with the baby's born. It begins the moment when we're pregnant, right? Once we know that baby's coming, the new journey, the new you, not only the new you, but the new you and your partner as well. All of that, it's being rebirthed at the same time, right? So I feel like that's why it's so important that we understand that it's not only about baby and nutrition. There's also such a bigger aspect in the back end of everything, right? Making sure, I've seen a lot of people that I've known, and now that I understand, it's like I've seen people that get pregnant, and not only other people, because I've seen that in myself, that when I was pregnant, yes, baby was fine. Doctors say everything's fine, but inside I wasn't okay. In any level. I felt like these crazy emotions, probably depressed, most likely anxiety, a lot of those things, but I didn't know how to pinpoint. I just thought it's normal. It comes with pregnancy. Yeah. But now that I hear you saying that, it's like, no, it's not normal for my mental health or for my inner world to feel with such conflict. It's just that in that time, I didn't have the awareness that I needed support, right? I was too worried about, it's baby. Of course, we get worried about baby being okay, but I think our focus is just the baby, never nothing else. A lot of the times when we don't have the awareness that all parts are important, right? Mind, body, and soul, even through pregnancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Oh, my God. Wow. And thank you for sharing that, though. That's beautiful. Like, I feel like it's important information, especially for if we have any new moms that are listening, or any moms that are currently pregnant at this time. I also wanted to share how this disconnection happens, right? I did some research on the definition of parenthood, of society's definition of what parenthood should be. And in this research, it says that the society's definition of parenting sees it as a role focused on raising a child to be a responsible, successful adult by providing for them, enforcing discipline, and shaping their behavior. It emphasizes control, authority, and outcome-based success, measuring good parenting by how well the child conforms to societal expectations. That's how we measure how good we're parenting, by how good the child is following society's direction. Oh my God. Makes me so mad to just like see this information, right? I see this approach as this dishonors a child's authenticity from the get-go. Yeah. This approach does not honor a child's authentic being, right? It's more like a roadmap to follow more than authenticity, right? And when I go into the definition of spiritual, okay, the spiritual definition of parenting sees it as a sacred journey of mutual growth where both parent and child are evolving souls. It emphasizes deep connection, conscious presence, and guiding rather than controlling, allowing the child's authentic self to unfold while healing ancestral patterns and fostering love, trust, and inner wisdom. I mean, that's totally the opposite of what I just explained in the first part. This approach focuses on honoring the authenticity of the child, and it encourages both the parent and child to evolve through this powerful connection that is parenthood. That's incredible. Yeah. Like, right? Like, how do you feel like hearing this information? What comes up to your mind?
It's like, what do you want to focus on? That's what's coming up. Like that first one, societal, that's just one part. Spiritual is another. But if you look at mental and emotional, those are two other. So yes, and right. I like what the spiritual one said about healing the ancestral, because I think that should go along with the societal. You're following me on my Instagram, so I've been right now I'm like currently like seeing how society coming up like a Mexican American, like how that is also like impacted my health, my mental health. Ancestral traumas that's happened from like colonization, and so this would go back in a different lifetime, right? Not necessarily mine right here, but it is getting affected right here, right now, because of it. So if we're talking about the society's, impact, we'd have to go all the way back to how the society was formed in the first place.
And why?
Yeah.
Right?
So that would be part of the healing for sure. So I'd say it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. I could totally see that. Yes. So what happens when a parent is focused on the parenting role of responsibility, providing, protecting, and shaping the child to function as in how society is asking them to function, instead of focusing on true connection, on focusing on honoring authenticity, instead of focusing on discipline and responsibilities and shaping them to be a certain way because they gotta be this way, other than focusing on what truly matters, which is that true connection and that true authenticity.
Yeah, I love that question. well, first, like, I like to say, like, no one's wrong, right? So, like, whatever parenting, however you're parenting, like, nothing's wrong, right? But there's always outcomes to how you parent. And so if you're looking at outcomes, it's like, what kind of outcome do you want? Do you want your child to conform to, you know, society's ways, you know, or do you want your child to have more of like a authentic way of living? Not that they necessarily comes down to those two, but, you know, just to answer your question, when you're trying to parent a child through society's way, there's going to be a lot of, you know, resisting from the child and a lot of control from your side. So that may create like a very toxic relationship with your child. Who knows? But when you're going from a place of just allowing your child to like just discover life on their own, what they like, right? What their heart is leading them to, what their passions are, and you're honoring that as a parent, and you're providing the tools, right, for them to like expand and explore in those areas. You're not only giving them their own like autonomy of choice, but you're also without wanting to, you know, without being so strict, you're allowing them to fit into the society that they want to be, that they want to create, right? It kind of goes back to like, I had to create my own society. Like they are creating their own society, and they're not alone in like what they like. There's a lot of people who are aligned with like podcasts, right? They're aligned with coaching, or that are aligned with being an artist, and so on. So they won't end up alone. They'll have a society, but not like the one, like you got to go to college, you know, get straight A's and like whatnot.
So it's mainly like the focus of what outcome we want to experience, right?
Yeah.
Down the road, more than anything, right? Like what outcome are we wanting to experience with the child?
Yeah. What kind of relationship do you want to have with your child, and lead by that?
Why do you feel that we just like are comfortable sometimes parenting from that place of society's expectations? Why is that easier to do?
I'd say because that's all we know. I mean, if you're talking about, if we're going back, way back, before the society was created, you know, like indigenous peoples, they were stripped from what all they knew to conform like forcefully to, you know, how they wanted to run the United States. So it goes really back. There was an agenda already, and that agenda is just, we are experiencing the cause and effect of that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a deep understanding of that, right? How do we create a new way for our children now, right? So if we've been following society's way of parenting, and how do we begin to open up to a new perspective or that awareness?
Well, there's like self-contemplation, like, but before I go into that, there's different levels of change. So the first is you're just in pre-contemplation. You're just unaware of what we call limiting beliefs, of what we call programming. We're just unaware of it. And so we're unaware of like I said, our beliefs. We're unaware of thoughts, perhaps that we think are normal. We're unaware of like how we react, our behavior. Maybe we're just unaware of like the sensations in our body, tightness in the chest when you get upset, or, you know, I don't know, your fists are clenched, tightness in the throat. So just like being aware of one of these areas. It doesn't have to be all of them, but it could be like the beliefs. It could be the thoughts. It could be the emotions, the sensations in your bodies. They could be like noticing when you get triggered. Just being aware of these things is like the first step. Mm-hmm. Second step is actually contemplating, doing some self-contemplation on these. Why do I believe this? Why am I thinking this? Mm-hmm. We're asking these self-contemplations on things that aren't necessarily helpful in our parenting journey, mm-hmm. right? So you're questioning why, this isn't really effective parenting, so why am I parenting this way?
Yeah.
Right? And it could go all the way back to like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
You could peel the layers, but you could start off just in the parenting. Mm-hmm. Just start there. And so that's just like for the change, right? Mm-hmm. How can we start creating our own? It's just questioning yourself as a parent. Is this effective or can I do better? Mm-hmm. Is this like a healthy coping way? A healthy way to cope with my emotions, or can I do better? And then that leads to like the second step of like taking action. Mm-hmm. Or would that be the third? The third step would be taking action, being actively looking for things to learn, new things to learn, so you could do things differently than how you were doing it. Mm-hmm. And then the fourth is maintaining that. And the last one, it's like you're gonna relapse. It's gonna happen. The old ways of handling things are gonna come back, and you're gonna handle the thing the way you used to. And that's where we practice grace, self-compassion, self-forgiveness, and be aware that you're going back. And then it starts all over again, the awareness, contemplation.
Yeah, I feel like
in action.
I feel like the work, right? The hardest part of this, or the work of it, it's the awareness, right? It's not whether we're being good, but it's like being aware when we are going back to our old way. Mm-hmm. That's where the magic unfolds, because yes, like you said, we're not going to get it right all the time. Mm-hmm. There is going to be things that sometimes triggers us to parent a certain way, right? Yeah. Instead of how we are trying to move forward and parent from. But it's that awareness that really elevates us more and more and evolves us more and more, because we are aware when we are stepping back to our old ways, right? Mm-hmm. I feel that for me, a little bit about like how I went through my own journey of realization was during COVID time, during 2020, when I was forced to stay home. At that time, my kids were in 3rd and 4th grade, mm-hmm. and I was someone that was always busy, like always busy, doing. Involved in every project you can think of, every sport, like having my kids from one sport to another, like just on a constant busy schedule. I never had time to think, to sit still, never, until 2020 came, when I was forced to stay home and just be home for 2 years with him. When I was at home for those 2 years, magic happened. I had never noticed that I was so disconnected, because I was always busy. How could I notice that I was disconnected from my children if I was on the go all the time? Never gave myself a chance to stop and analyze or reflect on what I'm doing, never, right? So for me, it was then just having that stillness, that pause, having nothing on the schedule, and just my focus were my children, because I was with them day and night. At the beginning, it was difficult because I wasn't used to that amount of connection, that amount of stimulation, that amount of like watching them grow moment by moment, right? And it was, it felt weird at the beginning, but after I went through that phase of like feeling weird, I started seeing clear, like, wait a minute, like, I think that this is the way that I should be parenting, right? I should feel a connection with my children. Why didn't I feel it before? What was stopping me from connecting to my children? Like you said, I started questioning, why have I felt disconnection and why do I feel connected now? And obviously I started seeing, one, I felt disconnected because I hadn't dealt with my own trauma. I hadn't dealt with my own stuff that I was carrying, like from when I was a kid. I hadn't asked those very difficult questions to myself so that I could process all the emotions that were still there blocking me from connecting with my kids. And all of that was taking space inside from me being able to truly have a connection with them. One, being super busy to avoid, and then two, not dealing with what I had to deal with so that I can make space to have a true connection with them. And that for me was a big realization. That's what led me on that path, right? Like there's something more here. There's more information that I need to uncover, discover, or like learn, right? It's like you said, I feel like that's a crucial part. Asking ourselves why we're parenting the way we're parenting, why we're always stressed. I was always stressed, always overwhelmed, always. Oh my God, I could not handle almost nothing because I was so stressed all the time. And I used to always say this, parenting is very, very hard. It's one of the hardest things that a mother could ever do. I just felt it so difficult. But now as I'm talking, I'm listening to myself. And it's, well, because of the definition I have, because of the expectations that society has put that I should do and shouldn't do, right? And so it's just like really going down that path and asking ourselves, how do you feel like it was for you?
First off, you just like gave the perfect definition of the society's agenda is to separate the parent from the child, so that this whole fiasco could happen, this whole disconnection could happen. And you know, you were blessed enough, 2020, even though it was actually an ugly time in history for many people, it actually brought us as parents closer, more connected, more in tune to our family life. And I'd say that is like a great awakening, like a mass great awakening, not just for you, right? In 2020, I was also pregnant. No, 2021 I was pregnant. But yeah. Okay, my disconnect was as a stepmom. So it's before I got pregnant. Yeah, I've been with my husband for 6 years now.
Okay.
It was when I was a stepmom. Let me just say, I was jealous. I was a jealous stepmom of the relationship my husband had with his daughters, but also at the same time, that's why I fell in love with him. Like, and that goes back to my daddy issues, not having a present dad. My parents divorced when I was 7. I like mourned that separation, that divorce. I mourned it for years, and that created like separation anxiety with my mom and I. I'm barely naming this, so this is like new awareness to me of what was going on back then. And so I mourned it. I wanted my father in my life. I'd see him a couple of times a year. I think the longest I didn't see him was like 2-3 years before I saw him again when I was young. Right now we're like actively like having a relationship. Like, I have his number. I'm an adult. Like, I call him when I can. But yeah, like, he's come over both times my babies have been born, because I have 2 babies. And so, yeah, our relationship it's good. It's not like super close, but it's good.
That's good.
But I'd say that's what sparked me questioning myself my emotions and feelings of jealousy. Just questioning, like, why am I jealous of a 9-year-old? My stepdaughter was 9 at the time. Why am I jealous of a 9-year-old little girl? Sweetest little girl. Like, how? And so, yeah, I think that was kind of like the spark to it. And so I started changing a lot of things about myself. I thought birth control was affecting my hormones, so I stopped that. I thought drinking too much. I was a horrible binge drinker. And now I know it's because I was numbing thoughts, numbing feelings about myself. And so I did that a lot. So I cut down. I started like counting my actual drinks. I've never done that. And then, so that was like 2020 going into 2021. 5 months into 2021 is when I found out I was pregnant. And then I had no job. Like I was doing construction at the time. I got injured, and honestly I didn't want to go back. So if anything, I manifested being kind of fired from my job. Let go. I mean, I wasn't fired. I was let go. And then I got out of the union. I was in the carpenters union as a pile driver apprentice. Got out, and then fast forward like 5 months, 6 months from that, I found out I was pregnant. So I was on unemployment. I didn't have a job to go back to. I did have like a graphic design business that I opened up because I was trying to make my own money, but I wasn't really into that. Yeah, I just remember like having $200 in my bank account, not knowing how I'm going to pay next month's bills. So this was the end of 2021. Yeah. I'm like, and then I like get an email from this program that I've been keeping an eye on for like a year or two, to join their spiritual warrior program. And I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I'm just gonna put my money here. Fuck the bills. I'm like, I got nothing to lose. I've got to take a chance on me. Like, my relationship isn't where I want it to be. I'm this like angry pregnant woman, stepmom. Yeah, like I'm ready to focus on me. And if it works out with my husband, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All I know is that I tried my best. I did everything I can. Here we go. And like probably 2 weeks in, like change happened. Shift in me happened. 2 months in, like changes in my relationship happened, like good ones. 6 months in, like my whole stepmom journey transformed. And I say that because like for me, being invited to my stepdaughter's track and field event, like I get emotional. That meant a lot to me. Like I felt included as a stepmom when I felt like so like not included. And that was the biggest fear of bringing a baby to this blended family, of like bringing a baby to a divided family. My biggest fear was that. And so I think that was right before I gave birth to my daughter. I don't remember, but that was a huge freaking win.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing how one part, right, for you, it was one part that led to everything else, right? That trigger, basically, the trigger of your stepdaughter, of those feelings of jealousy. It was the feelings. The feelings led you on this amazing journey, right? Of questioning yourself, of finding your own truth, beginning to find your own truth, beginning to connect to those parts. It's just so incredible how one part can lead to this whole new realization, right? So it's like sometimes I feel like this piece of information is crucial because sometimes we don't know why we're experiencing certain things at that moment, but there is always a very deep reason of why certain things are playing in our lives, right? And in how it's all how all this is connected to parenting is that one pivotal piece led you to this conscious parenting. You asking yourself, why am I jealous of a 9-year-old little girl? Led you onto this huge unfolding. Just one question. One question. That is incredible to hear you say how just that asking yourself that one question, just look at you now, right? That's just amazing. To me, it's like, wow, incredible. So I hope that, thank you for sharing that. I know that that's a vulnerable moment and it's not easy sometimes to share those things. So thank you for sharing that and how just for our audience listening, so crucial to ask those deep questions. That
question yourself.
Right? That can unfold the whole thing.
Yeah, don't settle. It's like, oh, I'm just like this. If I'm like this, I guess I'm like this. Like, that's just who I am. Don't do that to yourself. Question it.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised what you find.
Exactly. I feel that questioning why we're parenting the way we're parenting, why we're feeling the way we're feeling, questioning why is our child always sad? Why is our child always acting out? There is information behind everything, right? Mm-hmm. Behind everything that we see, behind everything that we do. In this case, your example was great because that specific information behind that question led you to a huge awakening, to a huge unfolding, into you discovering certain truths about yourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's just incredible. Now that I do want to move into how the spiritual definition of parenting, that approach, right? We're not saying that one approach or another approach is right or wrong. We're just giving examples of what one approach can lead you to and then what the other approach can, right? So how can this spiritual connection part support a parent as opposed of parenting from just following a roadmap, right? How can that begin serving or helping a parent?
I think the biggest thing would be your identity, like your spiritual identity versus like your physical human experience identity. Mm-hmm. It's a huge distinction to set some distance between the two, because when you're identifying as your emotions, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, like that's how you end up acting out of those when you're believing in a false identity. And so if you want to separate that from your spiritual identity, it's like, there's many names to it. Mm-hmm. It could be your essence, it could be your energy, it could be your higher self. Mm-hmm. It could be your goddess self, whatever is true and aligns with you. But the spiritual identity is constant, like it doesn't change. Mm-hmm. It's powerful in itself. It's limitless. It's the infinite and the finite. Mm-hmm. It's the universal mind. It's all of it. Mm-hmm. The conscious, collective, cosmic mind, everything. It's everything. And you're all of it. Mm-hmm. And you're all of it. And when you identify with, just human experiences that are everything's just limited. Mm-hmm. It's limiting here. You're gonna always bump a wall. Mm-hmm. You're gonna always find a door that's closed. Mm-hmm. You're gonna stay stuck because you're identifying as what you're experiencing in it, and you're not what you're experiencing. You're the creator of it.
And what about in Dr. Shafali, in her book, The Parenting Map, and on some interviews that she's done, she says that there's a trap when we see our children as an extension of us, when we create our child's identity and we intertwine it with ours, and we believe my child is an extension of me, my identity is mirrored by what my child does, or vice versa, right? So how important is it for a parent to understand that their children is not an extension of who they are, but they are an extension of themselves, not an extension, their child's not an extension of them, right? How important is to understand that it's a trap in itself.
Well, let's kind of clarify what, like an extension of them, like who are you talking to? Are you talking about them as a parent in this human experience, or are you talking about them from a spiritual perspective? You know,
it could be either or, whatever they're attached to, whether they're attached to defining like, oh, the way my child acts and shows up in the world is an extension and a mirror of how I'm parenting, for example. You know, how big is that trap for us to believe that, right?
Yeah, it is like a fragile one, right? Like it is. Your children are mirroring you, but also like there's different environments that they're exposed to. So you can't just say that it's all you from what you're teaching them. So I'd say that would be the trap of just thinking you're responsible for everything they watch, everyone they come in contact. Like that is a lot to be responsible for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like it's very important to understand that our children are not here to just mirror like constantly over and over like who we are. You know what I mean? Kind of like, how can I explain it? Like our what I'm trying to say is when we are asking our child to act a certain way so that we can feel a certain way.
Oh yeah. Oh, girl.
You know what I mean?
Placing your power outside of yourself. Yeah. That's how I think about it. Yeah, it's like, you made me mad, so you're on timeout. Or when you scream, you make me mad. It's like, as the parent, you're not taking responsibility for your emotions when you say that. And you're placing that responsibility onto your child. And like I said, like you're the creator of it all. And yes, you know, society's plan also, you know, has an effect on what you choose and how you choose to create. It just does. It's just connected. But so when you're placing your power outside of yourself, it's like you're assigning someone, like you're giving them the authority that they could create for you. It's like you're taking away the responsibility from yourself and you're giving it to someone else. That's what you say. That's what you're doing when you say you're making me mad. You're placing your power to your child so they could pull the puppet strings and have you react. When that's a lie, that's a trap. That's not true. You are the creator of your life. You're the creator of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, right? Thoughts may come out of nowhere, but you are the director, right? Emotions may come, right? But you're the director of it. Your awareness is, so when you're aware of it, you can direct towards a different, you know, obviously release it out of your nervous system in ways that are not going to affect your child in a negative way. That's easier said than done. You're gonna, you know, they're gonna have your days. I have my days.
Yeah, for sure. But having the awareness to come back and reflect and learn from all that is it's super important, right? How important is it to recognize where old wounds and limiting beliefs show up in parenting?
I'd say it's extremely important to be aware of unconscious ways of reacting, of living, of parenting, because your child will learn those ways, and then they'll parent their kids the same, and just the cycle will go on and on and on until you wake up and break that cycle, and choose to change how you're parenting in a more effective way. I know like anger is one for me, that comes up a lot. I get angry and I react. I'll shout, I'll curse, and it's not so effective as when I kind of regulate myself first, whether it's taking a break in the other room, whether it's telling my daughter to go cry in the room while I just take a deep breath and just like come to a neutral state so that I could co-regulate with her. That helps her regulate so much faster versus me yelling at her. And me yelling at her just elongates the time it takes to calm her down.
Yeah, that's very true. I've noticed that in my own style of parenting, that the more regulated I am, the more regulated my children will be. They're often they say that our children borrow our nervous system up to a certain age. When I learned that they do that children do that, that really triggered for me to begin regulating myself, because I seen the importance of self-regulation, right? I can't discipline or show my kids and guide my kids in a healthy way if I'm constantly dysregulated all the time. Not saying that it's not going to happen, but what I'm saying is that if it's moment by moment, that's how I am showing up in my relationship with my kids, dysregulated, then down the road in the future, my children will show up dysregulated as well, because that's what I've modeled, right? Children learn by modeled behavior. A lot of the times.
Can I also add, like, it's so important to get that practical support so that you actually get time to yourself, because when you're doing it alone, and I know a lot of us are, for long periods of time, day after day, that accumulation, that overstimulation, like you're bound to blow up. And unfortunately, that's kind of the society we live in, where you're got to do it alone while the other parent goes to work, or you got to work from home and watch the kids. Like,
definitely.
That also adds to that.
Oh, I could see that. I could definitely see that. If there's no foundation for support, you're most likely headed for disaster when that happens, because there's nothing to fall back on. There's no one to rely on. There's no one to vent your problems to. There's no support. So definitely, I say number one is creating support. If you are someone that feels like you don't have anybody around you at this time, is seeking for circles. Like, circles are a great way of venting, a great way of meeting people that are in a like-minded journey like you are, and more often than not seeking for similar things that you are seeking. So connecting into circles, connecting
support groups
on Zoom, even on Zoom, if there's none in your city or where you're at. It's so important. That's something that I read once, that generations back, when in other civilizations, when a woman used to have a child, the whole village used to help raise that child. The mother never had to raise the child alone. That's where we get that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, because it really does, right? It's different support systems that are needed while we are learning, evolving, and just having, you might not know what to do in a certain situation, but hey, maybe a person that you're in their support group has gone through that already, and they can guide you through that, right? So it's like it's very important to definitely seek support systems to support us through either pregnancy, once you're a mom, or even after, like when you're raising the children, right? Because it could be a very, not that it could be, it could feel very lonely while you are in that period of your life if you don't have any support system. That's how I felt. I felt that way. I didn't even think I needed. That never crossed my mind. But now I see why I felt the way I used to feel, because I had no support, emotional support. None of that was present in my life. But that doesn't have to be the case. If we have anyone listening, it doesn't have to be the case for you. There is support systems out there that can help you through pregnancy or through motherhood.
Yeah. Right? And I want to add, like, the physical support, the practical support of someone just simply watching your kid while you go, into the restroom to go shower or go clean up the kitchen or whatever it is. For me, it took a while, but I take advantage of my husband's days off. And I also take advantage when my stepkids are here at the house. So they can watch the kids while I go do something really quick. Either house maintenance or self-care. Like that practical support has like really helped me. Or I go visit my mom because I get a free meal. I get somebody to watch my kids while I'm just chilling. I don't have to carry a baby. She carries the baby.
And you just get to relax and have some moments, right? So creating those, like you said, you are the creator of your life.
Creating my own society.
Create your own rhythms, your own society, your own, more than, a lot of it, it's important to creating your own rhythm.
Yeah.
Honoring your own rhythm, what you need, knowing what you need, right? As a mom, as someone that's expecting a baby, it's very, very important, instead of like being frustrated at everyone and everything because no one knows what we need, right? How important it is for us to know our own needs as well. Yeah. I feel like that's also very important. What are some practical ways to bring more presence and awareness into parenting moments? So like, let's say we have a bad moment, right? We reacted and blew up the situation, right? There's someone right there, or that someone that is experiencing that constantly at home, especially, let's say with the teenager, and they're constantly having explosive moments, mom and dad. What are some practical ways someone can begin dealing with that?
Like the parent doing it, or like the child experiencing it?
Let's say that they're just can't. There's no. They're not seeing eye to eye. There's no effective communication, no effective understanding, and that creates blow-ups, for example.
I'd say just repair work. Just like, I feel like an apology may be underrated. So just like repairing doing repair work with your child, apologizing for your disagreement. And then, you have to do the work as a parent. I mean, there's no way around it.
There's no way.
There's really no way around it. Like, you're the adult, you carry the responsibility, majority of it, to raise a responsible child. And if you can't raise a responsible child if you're not taking accountability and responsibility for your behaviors, for your emotions, like, that's a huge one.
Yeah, that's so true. When I was experiencing that with my oldest daughter is the one that kind of like triggered my conscious parenting journey as well. Because she was in her teens while I was like in the middle of my healing journey and stuff, and her invitation to me through her behavior, through the way she would talk, through the way she was like just showing up in my world, I understood that she was inviting me to reparent myself. And that was huge for me. When I had the realization that my daughter's inviting me to reparent a younger version of me, Oh my God. Everything just changed for me because from there on, I was able to take responsibility of me, of the way I was feeling, of the way I was responding, reacting. It's almost like, okay, I began seeing my patterns, everything I was doing, how I was playing a part in our relationship not being in the best standing, right? And the first step, of course, is always awareness, right? Having that awareness, and also just taking responsibility, saying, yes, it is me. It is me, the one that needs to reparent. Every time I see my child, if I'm questioning my child's behavior or the way they're showing up in my world, the first thing I do now, it's I question myself.
Yeah.
What am I doing, or what area do I need focus on that my child is mirroring this back to me? It's always us. Always, always, always. It is an invitation to look deeper into, more than anything, repairing ourselves in that area. I've tested this method over and over and over again, and every single time it's worked.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
It's repaired the relationship. It's healed whatever I needed to heal. And I stopped having issues. Not because my child acted any different, because I reparented myself. So it's like what you said. You have to take responsibility. You have to do the work. There's no bypassing.
No.
Because if you bypass, you're only going to keep repeating the cycles over and over and over, right?
And staying there longer.
Yes.
Versus meeting, getting uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. But there's power in that, because once you realize it's you, like, you have the power to change it.
Yes.
Don't get, don't put yourself down, because
Yes.
realize, like, you have the power to change it.
Yeah. I always used these true mantras when I was in that. When I know better, I do better. But if I didn't know better at that time, I hold myself with compassion now.
Yes.
And I forgive myself for the things I've done. I've also asked for forgiveness for my own children as well, because of course I've hurt them. My unconscious parenting has hurt them in one way or another. So taking full responsibility of everything that's played in the story, it's what an adult would do, right? If we are acting like the child in the relationship with our kids, you need the reparenting, not the child.
Yeah.
It's us who needs the reparenting every single time.
When I find myself like not arguing, but like kind of, I don't know, talking back to my little 2-year-old, I'm like, I'm an adult. That's what stops me. Like, I'm an adult. I'm responsible. I'm the responsible adult. There's this meme on TikTok that goes like that. Like, what? Like, she lashes out. She was like, wait, I'm an adult. I'm an adult. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So bringing ourselves back, right, to the present moment. I'm an adult. I'm not a 2-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old. And that is crucial in the parenting journey. But before we begin to close, what is maybe one mindful parenting practice that parents can do, like an actual mindfulness practice that they can do for themselves, other than, obviously there's practices you could do as a family, but like as a parent?
As a parent, okay, a few things, but one of the things is saying affirmations to my child. Maybe it's not necessarily for them. Maybe it's just for me to remember who they are, so that I could see them at their highest, and kind of like just set the intention for the day in that way.
Okay.
Or whatever, whenever I need it. Yeah. So like, you are kind, you are calm. Those are the two that come up, especially with my daughter before we go in to go play with other kids. You are kind and you are calm. Thank you, mija. And just like affirming like it's already done. Like before we even go, like, thank you, mija. Okay, mommy.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because it's almost like I could see that not you're only speaking to her, but you're also speaking to a part of you, right? So that when you get dysregulated, this is a mantra. I'm kind. And what was your other
Calm.
one? And calm.
Yeah.
So it's like works both ways. How beautiful is that? Yeah, definitely. Having mindful practices for when things go south and when things are good, it's super, super important. I feel like those things have helped me in my journey, of course, as I've navigated difficult situations. So I always encourage parents to read a book. If you're running out of tools with your teenagers, it's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's that you just need more tools in your box, right? Read books, follow people that have walked that path and that can teach you a thing or two, right? You're just an answer away. It's not that we're doing things wrong. We're just needing more information for every chapter. As our child evolves, we need to evolve ourselves. We can't stay the same while our child is evolving because that's going to catch up, right? So it's super important that we are very mindful of that. I want to close by obviously thanking you for sharing your story, for sharing the methods that you've used, for sharing the triggers that have helped you arrive, and be in the journey that you are in this moment. Thank you for sharing like all your wisdom with the listeners and for being vulnerable, because I know that sharing vulnerable moments, it's not easy in any way. And this journey of parenting is so vast and so expansive, and it just takes us on this crazy journey that feels like a roller coaster at times, but it's just an opportunity to evolve, right? At the end of the day, it's just an evolving invitation to evolve along with our children, to evolve in our own ways, and then allow them to evolve in their own ways, respect them as their own human that they are, and in return respect our own selves, stand in our truths, not only in our own truth, but allow your child's truth to also unfold how it's meant to unfold, right? And that's what this conversation was about, just bringing that awareness to. I hope that this conversation has helped someone in some way or another. Is there any last words that you want to say to the audience?
Just thank you for having me. I really like the topics. I could definitely go, if there's a bunch of things I'm like, oh, I wish I could have said this and this and this, you know, but I think, everything's divinely guided, and we got exactly what we needed. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you. This won't be the last time you're here, I'm sure. Well, you'll come back, hopefully, if you ever accept our invitation again. Definitely. So thank you to our listeners. Where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
It's Juanita Alejandra _. And Facebook, it's Juanita Alejandra.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And if there's any parents that would like to join the circles that you facilitate, those are here in town in Salinas?
Yeah, and those are part of the nonprofit I work for, the Parenting Connections of Monterey County.
Okay.
I don't really go into spirituality in that, but I do help support parents on their parenting journey. We're located, our main office is in Salinas, but we're in... also in South County, so like King City's like the furthest. We have Greenfield. We have different locations even here in Salinas.
Perfect. And you post all that information on your Instagram as well when you have circles and stuff, right? I think I've seen all that stuff. So we invite you to give her a follow, and you know where to find us at Unlocking Our Code Podcast. If you have any friends, anybody that can benefit from this episode, please share. And as always, we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.